Hello, everybody, and welcome to Music Industry Insights Worldwide. And today we've got Cuban Davinci with us. Hi, Cuban Davinci. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Thank you so much for coming along today, sharing your views and your story with the rest of the podcast viewers. Do you want to tell listeners a little bit more about yourself, where you're from, and what you do?
I'm from the States, from Pennsylvania. I'm a recording engineer, also a producer. Used to be a radio host and
Oh,
a pod now.
cool. So, how long have you been in the music and entertainment industry for?
Um, while I grew up in the music business since I was a kid, my dad, he played in a band. He still plays in a band, so I got to see the lifestyle a little bit early. I started really getting into the music around like 96, and I want to say around like 2009, really started taking it serious. Well, a little bit before that, I think around like 2003. Yeah, I started taking it real serious.
Oh, okay, that's really nice to hear. And tell us, how did you get into the music and entertainment industry? You said you've done it from a very young age, and obviously your father was in music. So, do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Um, well, I used to play in a band in school. I used to play in the band and whatever. So follow my father's footsteps and whatever. Um, I want to say around like I was like 18, 19. Um, I got kicked out of school. So I was in trade school. I got kicked out of school. And I was like, I'm gonna turn this music into a career instead of a hobby. It was a struggle, because we didn't have the internet, how it is now. So
Yes.
I said around like 2009, I started doing shows, local shows at coffee shops and whatever. And then that progressed and started following different people to shows. And then I say around like 2012, that's when I dropped my album and put it on a distribution platform.
Oh, that's cool. So tell us a little bit more about did you have a musical education and how did you turn your hobby into a business? Because I think that's a really important point that you make there is a lot of people want to make music and make it in the music industry, but it is actually a business. So do you want to tell us a little bit more about that and how you've kind of progressed in the industry?
So I had a group with my brother and a couple of my friends. It was called OBM, and all rapping or whatever. And I always say like I got the studio, so now I got a record label.
Yeah.
So everybody's saying, "Oh, we got a record label, we got a record label." So I say when I was like 19 years old, I was like getting books. So like I said, this before YouTube and the internet. So I would go to the music store.
It was the MySpace days as well, wasn't it
Yeah,
then?
yeah. I was getting the books and I was just reading books and reading books. And then once the internet really started popping off, and like Twitter came about, I would follow stars and I would download the like the little pamphlets that they was the information they was sharing. So I really had to learn how to actually run a label, build a label, and get your money from everywhere.
Right. So how does that operate? How could, if you wanted to explain to an artist that was just coming along, who's doing it for a hobby, and they want to try and turn it into a business, what kind of tips and hints would you give to them on how to monetize off of their creativity? Because I think that's a really important part of it.
For artists to begin, if you're an artist out there and you're trying to begin, I would definitely just work on your craft. Work on, getting the right songs, but also get with somebody that knows the business. Don't like we're in a time where everybody wants to do it themselves. And even though back then we had to do it ourselves because everything was changing from real studios to in-house studios. So if you're an artist nowadays, I would definitely get with somebody um that helps you, understands the business, and can help you monetize all your money.
Okay, so do you think networking and figuring out how the business operates is a really important part of it as well?
Oh, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
So how kind of would you advise other artists or producers like yourself or someone who wants to start a label as well? Because I think that's a really important part. Some artists want to actually form their own labels, distribute their own music, and they want to do it all in-house. So does that cost a lot of money to do that? And did that kind of set you back a little bit, or did you find that an advantage?
Well, at the time, we just had the name. Oh, we got the name. This is our label. But like I said, like that wasn't just how to run a label. Like you have to, if you want to run a label, you got to learn the business, and this is why it's so important to get with somebody that knows the business.
Mhm.
Be an artist first before you want to be running the label. Um, Once you learn the business and you're with somebody independently, either as a manager or a label holder or whatever,
Yeah.
and they helped you get some money, the next thing you would do was get your own LLC. You get your own LLC, trademark your name, so nobody has it or whatever, um, and then go from there.
Okay, because I meet a lot of artists, sorry to interrupt you. I meet a lot of artists in the music industry when I'm doing my networking, and they always say to me, Saskia, I need a manager, I need a manager. And I actually turn around and say, I think you actually need a lawyer before you need a manager. Now, what's your thoughts on that?
Um, you need both.
Hmm.
Both. I've been where coming in this business where people are like, well, what do I got to manage? And I'm like, what do you mean? What do you got to manage? Like, here goes my product. This is what it is. You're my manager. A lot of people don't understand. Like, the manager's job is to find artist shows. The
Yes.
manager's to find the artists to write beats, um, take them to the studio, whatever, um, and try to get them paid. You know, if so be. But also, you need a lawyer too.
Yeah, and this is
Um,
the thing, Cuban, like, when you're just starting out and you're not really making any money, what kind of artist manager you think is the best one to go for? Because not everyone's going to work for free, right? And not all of these reputable artist managers are going to work with someone who's not generally making money off their music.
I would say find somebody that's close to you and believe in you.
Yeah.
Don't try to go after um somebody that's looking for a pay.
Mhm.
They're just gonna put the money in their pockets and they're not going to even split nothing with you. So I have, two artists. I got one that's my son and I have another artist. Um, like they kind of slipped up a little. I was trying to get them to shoot a video with a major record label.
Yeah.
And I guess they don't believe like, oh yeah, this can happen overnight. Well, with my connections, it can. So find a manager that is all for you. If he's all for you, he's not worrying about the pay. That's hard to come by. He
Yeah.
has to do just like you believe in yourself. Um, and then y'all work something out later on, like as far as agreement, when the money starts coming in, for a split. I think that's the best way. But also, grab a lawyer too, because you might do a song with somebody. So like if you do a song with somebody and you don't have I can't even think of the split sheet. You don't have the split sheet. So in the split sheet is where everybody has their names, who was recording it, who mixed it, who mastered it, who wrote the songs. So everybody get their percentage. Once you have your percentages down, so say you do a song with somebody and it takes off, but you don't get paid.
Yeah.
That's where the lawyer come in.
Right.
They took 100% of everything and you got nothing.
Exactly. And this is another thing artists do as well when they don't necessarily have that legal expertise. They'll just sign on the dotted line and not even read a contract, which can
Right,
destroy some artists' careers as well, can't it?
right.
So I think it's really important. So what's the music scene like in Philly and what kind of genres do you do? And tell me a little
Um,
bit more about your son and the music that you do and your record label.
um, Philly is Philly's always Philly.
Yeah.
To me, is dead. Um, there's a lot more stuff that's going on in Pennsylvania, like in the whole state and whatever. Like there's different shows and whatever. There's different festivals. So once you like, I guess you conquer like Philly, you've done all the shows and everything, and it's like there's nothing there no more. But once you start spreading around like the different states, there's two festivals that happens. There's a festival that happens in the springtime,
Yeah.
and it's music festival that happens in here in Pennsylvania. They actually started and branched off in Dallas, Texas.
Oh,
So I'm
cool.
gonna go there and check that out in November. Also they have a another festival that's coming up this week. Yeah, it's coming up this week, this Friday, and that's in Scranton, Pennsylvania. So I'm trying to, make it towards that too. And that's another thing. Artists try to hit as many festivals, even if you're not performing. Take your merchandise. Merchandise is the biggest way to get money. merchandise and your performance. But if you're not performing, take your merchandise, network with people, talk to people, and just promote yourself daily.
Yeah, I think you're really right there. And it's also about trying to monetize what you can when you can, right? And I think this is another
Right.
important point you make is with the merchandise, give us a few more tips and hints on that. And where do you go to do that? And do you do click to order or do you just buy a batch of merchandise and print it yourself and get all that done? How does that work?
Well, it started me just making the shirt. So we used to draw the shirts up. That
Oh,
was like way back MySpace days. We draw the shirts up, we wear it, whatever. And then actually I started running into different people that actually made the shirts and whatever. And then just progress and progress to where now I have a company that makes all my hoodies, all my t-shirts and whatever. And they're like the quality of the t-shirts, the hoodies is amazing. So when I tell you a price, you got to look at the quality that's made, and that's very important. Always have merchandise. I just had a show, what was it? Last Saturday,
yeah.
what else P and whatever. And the crowd, they was like, yo, we love your music. And the first thing I said, well, if you like my music, and this is what artists have to do, if you like my music, where do you listen to your music at? As soon as they tell you where they listen to their music at, send them right to your page. Get your followers. That's the best way to get the followers because you're at an event. People love your music. They love your performance. Send them right to your, Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, Deezer. Send them right there.
I think that's really important as well because I see a lot of artists performing that have no merch and they're not even promoting their social media platforms or their website. And I think that's an extremely important point you make as well. It's also advertisement, isn't it? And promotion. That's part of the performance itself.
Right. And I didn't even get to sit here and say this. So I sold 2 shirts that night. So I sold 2 shirts on that night. Also gained followers. I didn't even really try to gain followers on my Instagram. If you follow me, you follow me. It was more so I'm going after my money. And that's where artists have to understand. So if you don't know how to get paid by your performance,
Mm.
sign up to the Performance Right organization, then merchandise is the number one thing. And you're also your where they listen to the streaming platforms. You
Yeah.
send everybody there. There was one female. I asked her where did she listen to her music at, and she gave me this whole platform that I've never even heard of. But
Right.
so I sent her right there.
And I think this is another a brilliant point you make actually is making sure that people are aware of the platform and aware of your name and how to
Right.
reach you. Because I think, a lot of people, once they've met you, they want to follow that journey. They want to be part of that, especially the fans, right?
Right.
So it's about sharing that with them. So what kind of challenges and barriers have you faced accessing music and entertainment, especially being in Philadelphia as well?
Um, People not being true.
Mm.
Um, People being there with you. You starting people giving you broken promises. I used to run with Brooklyn Zoo. There was a group under there called 144,000, and I used to be a part of that. And I thought it was going to sign. So you got the Wu Tang, Brooklyn Zoo, and then here goes this new group under Brooklyn Zoo. And I thought I was going to sign, and I only did one song with
Yeah.
them. After that, the group goes their way, and they got a couple albums out now. So it was like I was one of the originals, but I've been in groups where people don't stay together
Yeah.
in enough time to maybe even do one project, and everybody goes their own way. Um, Promoters, they give you shows, you sell your tickets, so now they're basing your people to come out
Mhm.
just to pack the place.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't get like 10 or 15 people come out.
Mm.
So it's a lot of work. 'Cause, people turn you down because they don't know who you are, or a lot of people got egos.
A lot of people have got egos in the music industry, haven't they? And I think that's a different part of it. And there's lots more no's than there ever is yeses. And I think part of success is those people that just keep going with all those failures. They turn that into that motivation to succeed, right?
Right, right.
So kind of like with those challenges and barriers that you faced, how has that impacted you in your career and how you feel about yourself?
Um, for me, it was a little difficult. I think I would have been in a better place by now, but at the time I was getting incarcerated or whatever. So for me to get incarcerated, come home, drop an album, get incarcerated again, and come home, drop an album, I think that was a little bit more because every time when I did come home, I would drop something and there was always something else going on. So I did a little bit of acting too as well. I just got done shooting a reality show last year. So it's like I'm always trying to do like different things.
I think that's really interesting, actually. I'm going back to the discussion we had on the groups, because originally I wanted to be in a group. And I think that was the thing that I had to think about twice and think over it. And actually, I didn't want to be in a group in the end because of that dynamics. And, you know, sometimes people didn't get on in groups, and sometimes you've got to rely on other people to be
Right.
part of something. How did that affect you as well? Obviously, being in a group and then having to come out of it, being incarcerated as well. God, you've been through a lot. So, how's
Yeah.
that you and what you produce and how you make your music and what you write about? How's that
Um,
impact?
it's my journey. It's my story. Um, at the time, I was kind of mad at being incarcerated and coming home and going back. But I feel when I sit back and listen to from mixtapes to albums, I'll give you a journey. So I'll give you a ride. I have an album that I'm trying to work on right now. It's kind of hard because I want to top the last two albums.
Yeah.
Um, and I still want to give you that ride through the album. I just don't want to give you songs. I want to give you a ride through the album, the journey and everything. So you understand where I come from, how hard it was. Um, I see a lot of artists now, they're having their own shows, like festivals. I did all that early in my 20s. So in my 20s, I had my own show. I had two successful shows
Well
packed.
done.
Um, they wasn't playing this on the radio, so I got my own radio. That was a success. Um, and then I actually got to work on the radio station because of my online radio. So I was doing all this stuff in my 20s.
Mhm.
You
That's
know, we had internet shows, online shows before it was even a thing to do online shows. So I was doing a lot.
so what it sounds to me like is it's a story of your life that's very relatable and authentic, which is really, really important. And you've
Right,
also kind of let people into that and you've been quite vulnerable. Has that been
right.
easy for you to do that?
Yeah, I try to do this. I try to do that as much as possible, like on Instagram with the reels and everything. And that's another thing. Like when I had my producer, he used to be the producer on my label, like just the main producer. We would go everywhere. We would videotape, and I would give you a journey. And at that time, Instagram was just about pictures.
Mhm.
So I have like a lot of old videos that I'm trying to find now and put them out with me and my old group because we do have a group album. It's called Fast Five,
Yeah.
and try to get people that that journey of even though it's old, but it's something they can say, wow, like he's been doing this, since way back then.
He's established. He's an established artist. He's not a beginner.
Right. And that's another thing that a lot of people take for granted, like promoters or whatever. So like if somebody be like, well, who are you? And I'll tell them like, listen, I'm not a new beginner. I'll
Yeah.
send you my bio, I'll send you everything, press kit, all this stuff, and they still treat you like, well, we don't know who you are, like as far as mainstream.
Mhm.
Um I've been on, high platforms, thisis50.com,
Mhm.
been on the billboard in New York City, as far as like singles being out and all that stuff. So like it's a lot more, but everybody doesn't see that. For me, if I was to interview somebody or have them come on the podcast, I do my homework. I want to see what stuff they got out. I want to know all about their background so we can give the people in the audience of who they really are behind the music.
And I really find by what you're saying in your story is even if someone hasn't given you an opportunity and there are lots of no's and there is a lot of judgment and there is a lot of egos in the industry, you've just
Right,
own opportunities regardless. And then you brought other people into that and then that's how you get to the next step.
right.
I really, really like that. So tell us a little bit more about the equality, diversity, and inclusion in Philadelphia in the United States and how you're treated as a rapper or, you know, what you do in the music industry. How do you get treated and how do you see the music industry reacting to the work that you bring out?
Um, it's tough over here.
Mm.
It's tough. I think it's all depends on where you at. If you're on the East Coast, you have New York. So you have New York, you got Philly. That's tough. That's a tough, circuit to break. I've never been to California yet to on the music side. I've been down south. Down south is way different. Like they show a lot of love down there. But, I think when it comes to loyal, real hip hop fans, I think overseas is the best. That's the best overall because I think they appreciate it way more than we do because we lost it and we're just trying to elevate the hip hop. But if you got like straight raw hip hop, old school 90s, overseas, they respect it, they love it. If you do shows over there, they treat you totally different than they do over here.
Right. And does government fund a lot of your initiatives over there in creative arts? Or is that all self-funded and do you have to get all the money yourself? How does
Everything, everything is all me.
so you've
Everything.
got everything from your on your own back, you've not got any funding, you've not had any support or anything like that?
No funding, no nothing. I everything as far as merchandise, all my money. I
Mhm.
put all my money up, to fund everything that I need. I have had people, help me get like studio equipments and all that stuff. But a lot of people say, "Oh, I want to invest in your business and I want to invest in," and they never come through. Once they figure out you can't make that much, I ain't gonna say you can't make that much money, but as far as it's not a get rich scheme.
No, not quick. It's not a quick process, is it? It takes
Yeah.
time. Yeah. Yeah. And kind of tell me a little bit more about what you'd like to see improve in the next couple of years in the music industry from your point of view and where you're standing at the moment.
As far as that, I would just like to see everybody get treated right. As far as like pay wise, I think the streaming services they're jipping us of our money. Um,
Definitely.
out of the labels, they are getting involved, so they're trying to take away and hold us back so we can still get a fraction of a penny. I would like to see that improve. Um, I would just say, if everybody can unify, so it doesn't matter because you have social media platforms and everybody, and it's easier to get access around the world. If everybody plays their parts and they have the right connections with right people, I think if one person can make it independently, they can help more other people out, and,
Definitely. I always
and
talk about
we can
collaboration.
knock the major labels out the way.
Mhm. I think that's a really important point you make there. So you think collaborations are also the way forward in helping other people and building a kind of collective of different people with different kind of professions around you? Do you think that's a beneficial thing to do as well?
Of course, I
Yeah.
I try I try to collab with a lot of people from everywhere. I usually try to collab more with people overseas. I have done stuff with people overseas. I have a song. It's because what's it called? All We Know. Um, that was a DJ Chemo. He's from the States, but he lives in Germany now. He's been out there for some time. We did a whole album. I was on his song or whatever. That was a decent song. It was a different, but it was a nice song. There's a couple other people that I've connected with. This is years ago, overseas and whatever. So I like connecting with people overseas because if I connect with them, they might have a whole platform over there, what's going on or whatever, and they push the raw hip hop. That's where I fall in with the raw hip hop. Um, So when people be like, yo, like I like your music, that's raw, it's like an old school film, whatever. So I try as much as possible to, to deal with people overseas. Everybody in the States, that's easy access. I can
Right.
fare and go right to the States and whatever, anytime.
Mm. I totally agree, actually. And I was going to say to you, like, you've got your own record label. Do you talk about sync a lot, and do you do a lot of sync placements and stuff like that? How does that work if you want to explain it to the audience?
I haven't done syncing too much. I'm
Yeah.
starting trying to get into that, but I do like with my publishing, I have made money off of there was a movie that one of my songs, my group songs was in. I still couldn't find it. I was trying to call the pros to ask where that movie what movie it was in, but they never got back to me or whatever. Trying to get more into that because also right there, that's where the money is at too, with the sync and everything.
And definitely, like you said before as well, especially when you're doing your performances and live performances, it's the artist's responsibility to make sure you're recording those, the dates, times, the length of time you're performing them, and then send those to your PRO as well, so you can get paid for the live performance. I think that's another important part that
That
artists well these days, isn't it?
that is very important. I have done so many shows in the past and never knew that you had to report it to the pros. And I'm sitting here like, man, the promoters are just taking our money, this and this and the third. Now I'm pissed off. But once you understand that whatever pros that you have to report your performance. So this is what a label would do. They will report it, but you being an artist, you have to learn the business. You have to do everything yourself. And if you don't want to do everything yourself, that's why you get a good manager that knows what he's doing. He's been in the business for quite a while. Um, or you just get with an independent label that they know what they're doing. So talk to the producer, see what they have to offer you and whatever. As far as the money, I really wouldn't worry about the money because album sales, nobody sells albums no more.
Right.
I think they are trying to get back in 2025 or 2026 for us to keep pushing albums. So the singles, as far as the singles, you're not going to be making too much money off of those, but the albums, I think they're trying to get back into the album sales. But if we were selling physical copies of albums again, it would be a little bit different. It'd
And
be a little bit.
because you've been in the industry for quite a while, and you've obviously seen how it progresses, and you've been in bands and you've been as a solo artist, what are the benefits, would you say, of being an independent artist? And then what are the benefits of being, say, assigned to a major label? What are those differences, and how could that impact how much money you make and how far you can actually go?
Being independent, um, you have you got control of your own journey. You
Yeah.
own your producers, um, you own your publishing. So you have that you do own. As far as being on a major label, um, you'll have money in your hands ASAP. So as soon as you sign that deal, you'll have money in your hands. Only downfall about that is people get advance money. They take it, they buy jewelry, they buy a house, they buy a car, all the non stuff they don't even need. Take that money, invest your money into something.
Right.
Invest it, say like a hall. If you could buy a hall, or say like a little club that can hold like a capacity of 250 people,
Mhm.
because you'll make your money back right off of there.
That's a
Um,
point. Really good point, actually.
right. So it's like, but at the end of the day, being on a major label, you have to make that money back because that is a loan.
Yeah.
That they're, as far as independent, you can get a loan from a bank.
Yes, that's true. That's
You
true.
get a loan from a bank, and the only person that you're going to pay back is the bank. The bank's not owning your masters; they're not holding your publishing, and it's a little bit more easier. You can be with an independent label and get a good deal.
Yeah, definitely. You kind of you retain your masters, and that's kind of like your pension, then, isn't it, for your future years? Because you're always going to get money back from that in the long run.
So like as far as like the streamings and stuff, like you won't make that much money on the streamings
Mhm.
as unless you're doing crazy numbers.
Right.
and crazy fan base. I mean, which can happen, but you got to have that type of following, and you got to have that, you got to be, yeah, you just basically got to have that good following, that's going to make sure that you have that enough money in your account where you can survive every quarter. One thing about me, I do get paid every quarter, because of the pros performances and everything that comes in. So not only do you just get your money from the distribution, because a lot of artists say, "Oh, I got a label and I get my money off of mechanical royalties,"
Yeah.
but it's more than mechanical royalties. You got your publishing royalties, and
Yeah.
then your it's like the satellite radio, like Pandora, iHeartRadio. Then that goes from sound exchange. So you get like all these royalties from different places, and they only get royalties from one place, and
Wow.
that's important too.
That's a massive difference as well, isn't it? Into your future and your income as well.
Right.
Mm.
Because once the money comes in, and you can sit here and live off your money every quarter, then you're good. You made it. You don't have to be super famous. As long as the people support you, as long as they recognize you, and as long as you good content, for people to keep up. That's my problem right now is the content. Because it's like, all right, I gotta make content. What am I gonna talk about? Where am I gonna go? So, like different places, I just try to, record as much as possible and try to make as, much content when I can.
Sounds cool. And how often do you release? Are you consistent with your releases and how often?
Um, I used to be.
At least you're
I,
honest.
I me, um, I have so many unreleased songs.
Mhm.
I have songs that you probably won't hear that you have to go to my SoundCloud to hear and be like, oh, this is hot. Some songs I had to do over again because the beats got sold. Um, so I used to release all the time. Anytime I did a song, I would just release it. Now it's to the point where like everybody doesn't know, excuse me, everybody doesn't know the first album. So every time that I do a show, I still do songs from the first album. Then
I
I'll go to the second album.
I love that.
I keep doing those songs till them people get familiar with them songs, and then all you got to do is just go in there and say, "Oh, well, he just released this song," or "Oh, I like that song. You got a video for that, or where can I go find it at?" Then send them right to the albums and the singles and all that stuff.
You're still promoting your old catalog, your back catalog, as well as your new stuff,
Right.
which is fantastic.
You
Very
do to everybody.
yeah. I
People
love.
that heard it, it's still new.
Well, we've got another 5 minutes left. Time has flown by. So thank you so much for your expertise and advice. Like in the last 5 minutes, is there any major wins and successes you would like to share with us? And also I'm going to leave all your links in the description below. But is there any way that artists can contact you, collaborate, or any industry professionals if they're looking to get hold of you or find out a little bit more about your work?
Um, if you want to contact me, my email is Cuban Davinci 45 at yahoo.com.
Yeah.
Contact me there. People want to collab. You can contact me there as well. I'm always open to collab. Um, all depends what your budget is. I work with people. A lot of people. I just had a discussion with this where people was like, "Oh, well, you shouldn't charge other artists," and I'm like, "Well, this is the business.
It is a business. Yeah. You
It's
can't.
a and if we have and like I told other artists, I said if you just come to me because you heard one of my songs, then there's gonna be a pay. But if we have a connection, we got a relationship, then no, I'm not going to charge you because then there we go with the split sheet, and then we can make the money together.
Yeah, yeah. I like that. So yeah, have you got any sorry, social handles that people can look at or listen to your music?
Um, Instagram, you can find me on there. You can find me on Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, Deezer, Seven Digital. Um, Also, I do have a website. It's down right now, but I'm actually going to put it up at the end of the week.
Yeah.
CubanDavinci.com. If you go to my Instagram or my Twitter, You just go into the link and you'll click the link tree, and it has everything right in there, from website to Spotify to all the digital streaming platforms.
You've got your record label on there. And also, do you want to shout out to your kid and the other person on your label before we go?
Um, yeah, shout out my son, which is also my artist, Kai Kai, and also my other artist, Mr. Too Sturdy. So they are the two artists that I have right now. Mr. Too Sturdy just put out his single. He's actually working with Minus 800. He Minus 800 produced the song "Shot of Flow" for NLE Chopper.
Oh, cool. That's super cool. And what's your record name as well?
Six and Belmont Production.
Okay, so I'm going to leave all that. If you could send me an email later on with those links, I'll add that into the description as well, if that's okay.
Okay, I definitely will send that to you.
Thank you ever so much. It's been such a pleasure to talk to you, and I hope to speak to you again soon.
Definitely.
Keep up the amazing work. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right.